You might think that Hineuru are located in a fairly remote area, but I don't think it was a remote area in those days. Where they really were was on the main communications route between Hawke's Bay and Taupo. So they were actually in quite an exposed location. And I think this has a lot to do with the political relationships that Hineuru had on the one hand with the Hawke's Bay chiefly aristocracy, but also with the inland groups as well, like Te Wharatoa and others.
E haranahe e uru Ngāti Hineuru ki roto i a tarawera rau o Tātarakina. E uriona Ngāti Hineuru ki roto te matai, tēnā plaka nui, whānui, e ru Ngāti Moa. I urua Ngāti Hineuru ki roto i a whare toto, i roto i tēnei whare toto 1, 2 and 3, i uru tō rātu ki rei, i uru nō rātu ki roto i ngā plaka o runanga, nā e te haere whakarunga tērā, ko tā tātu i tērā ki te moa.
Hineuru lost an enormous amount of land through two different processes. One was confiscation of land under the New Zealand Settlements Act, and that was the area known as the Mohaka Waikari confiscated block, which was confiscated in 1867. That accounted for quite a large part of Hineuru's lands, but by no means all of them.
But as you can see, it's here that I'm talking about the confiscation land known as Waitara. Mangaharuru is on, you're looking, sorry, excuse my back, it's a bit awkward to show you. You're looking from here, back that way, across that way, instead of straight up and down.
I've never really encountered anything quite like that in all the research that I've done. Because what happened with those blocks was, following the confiscation, those blocks were allocated partly to other groups who weren't Hineuru or weren't predominantly Hineuru. Then there was a round of inquiries in the 1920s when the people who'd been put in the 1870s and 1880s were taken out. And then there was a yet further round of inquiries after that in the 1950s when the people who had been put in the 1920s were taken out and the people who had been put in the 1870s and 1880s were put back in. You can just imagine the chaos that must have caused, the family dissensions and the difficulties.
This is the most western part of the farm, the Te Awahohunu farm, on this side of the road. The rest of the farm goes back alongside the Mohaka River and matching up with that Urutomo block.
I've talked to Hineuru people who said that they can remember growing up in Te Haroto in the 1930s, and apart from the ordinary hardships of life living there, they can remember endless trips that they made or their parents made to the native land court sittings in Hastings, which just seemed to go on and on forever. So the whole iwi was mired in an extremely complicated process which wasn't of their making.